Hello everyone, I'm Alicia. Welcome back to part 2 of my button macrame bracelet tutorial. In part 1, I showed you how to make the macrame button bracelet with a button for a clasp. In part 2, I'm going to show you how to make the adjustable style. So if you haven't seen part 1, please go back and watch part 1, because in part 1 I talked about stuff that I won't be talking about in this video. If you don't know where part 1's at, you can go to my channel, you can find it there, or I'll leave a link to part 1 in the description bar below this video. So please, before you continue watching part 2, watch part 1 because you'll understand part 2 a lot more. Here is the list of materials you're going to need to make an adjustable button bracelet. You're going to need a 1mm nylon cord, or you can go smaller. This is Red Heart name brand crochet nylon thread. I actually bought this at Walmart. You're going to need to cut 3 pieces of that cord. One piece is going to be 5 feet long, and that's going to be the knotting cord. The second piece is going to be 20 inches long, and that's going to be the core cord that goes through the knotting cord. And your third piece is going to be 16 inches long, and that's going to be your sliding clasp right there. You're going to need 9 buttons. If you're just doing buttons in this bracelet, you'll need 9. But if you want, you can do beads, but the amount of knots in between your buttons and your beads will change. So in this one, I think I had, I'm not totally sure, I think it was 8 knots in between all the buttons, and in this one I had to do less because my beads were so wide. You're going to need 2 beads for your pull cords. You're going to need a ruler and a lighter or a thread burner. If you don't have a thread burner, a lighter works just fine, but you got to be careful because you can get burned. Immediately after you cut your cords, you need to melt the ends so they don't unravel, and especially the end that's on your spool. So right off my spool, I need to melt this. The cord is twisted, so when I melt it, I have to touch it while it's still warm so I can mold it into a needle shape. So this is what it looks like right now, and yours might be unraveled like that, and all you have to do is just spin it and it kind of goes back into shape. So this cools off really fast, so don't freak out that I'm like touching it right after it melted. And so I'm going to do it now and show you how I do it. Right after you melt it, you need to touch it. It's not even hot when I touch it. And I keep doing this until it is a needle shape. It really isn't hot when I'm touching it. So this is what it looks like. I'm going to melt it a couple more times and try to get it a little bit thinner. You could twist and pull it to make it thinner, so it goes through your buttons and your beads. Okay, mine looks about good. It's a nice point on it, and it's going to fit through my buttons. Now I have to do this one. So this one's already twisted, it's not unraveling. Now I can light it. Pull and twist in the direction that it wants to twist. And you could do more than just a tip. You could do about 1/2 inch like I did with the nail polish in part 1. In case you have wider buttons or beads to go through. So this one I actually need to go back and do more in the back. Alright, so now my ends are melted and they're pointed, they're smooth, and they are ready to go through beads and through my buttons with no problem. I went ahead and strung my buttons onto my cord to save time, and the buttons I'm using are 2-hole buttons. So if you want, you can use 4-hole buttons, but you're going to need 2 cords. So you could fill up all the holes, and you could do the X or the straight threads on the 4-hole buttons, however you like. So now that I have this, I have 5 inches on these cords here, and I just have those strung about 1 inch apart. It doesn't really matter how close those are because we will be sliding them on the bracelet. You just need about 5 inches of bare cord on the sides. So now I'm going to attach it to my loom, and I'm just going to wrap one end around this hook a couple times and tie a knot over and under, over and under. Make sure it's tight, and I'm going to lay it across the top and down here to the bottom, and this is hanging off, so I'm just going to slide these up. So there we go. Wrap around your screw a few times, and don't tie it real tight because you need kind of slack to slide the button, so make sure it is a little loose. This is fine. Now I'm going to tie a knot here. So over and under, like that. Pull it tight, and that should be good. If it starts to loosen, I could tie another knot. So now we're ready to start tying our square knots, and I have to readjust the. Now that we have our 20-inch cord stretched out on the board, I'm ready to take our 5-foot cord and tie our knots. And the knots are going to be the same knots that I tied in part 1. So I'm going to take my 5-foot cord, I'm going to go underneath, put my ends together, try to find center, then I'm going to tie a knot. Don't pull it tight yet, because we need our cords to be even. So get both ends, put them together, and slide the 2 cords down on your finger, and right there center. This one actually adjusts pretty well by itself, I guess because it's silky. So we want our knot to be about right there. Now I'm going to tie our first knot, but I'm going to put my rubber bands on my cord so it's easier to do it. So I wound my cords up and I put hair rubber bands on it so the cords are shorter and now it's easier to work with. If you're using beads and buttons, our goal is to have 6 inches of knotted area right here. So this bracelet from here all the way around to here, this is 6 inches. And then the sliding clasp, that is 1 inch, so it's actually a total of 7 inch. So this can fit a small wrist closed all the way, and when you open it, it can fit bigger wrists, like men's wrists, up to like 9 inch, 10 inch wrists. It can fit pretty big wrists and small wrists, so it's really in any size bracelet. It's awesome. So now I'm going to show you how to tie the knots, and I have to zoom in. Now I'm going to tie square knots. I already showed how to do this in part 1, but I'm just going to do a couple knots again. So take your right cord, lay it over your bracelet, take your left cord, lay it over your right cord, under your bracelet, and through this loop. We need 8 knots. At the beginning, in between all the buttons, and at the end. So there's 1 knot. Take my left cord, lay it over the bracelet, take my right over the left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. There's 2. I'm going to take my right cord, lay it over the bracelet, my left cord over the left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. 3. Here's my 4th knot. Left cord over the bracelet, right cord over this cord, under the bracelet, through the loop. 4 cords. Take my right cord, lay it over the bracelet, left cord over my right cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. Pull it up. That's 5. Left cord over my bracelet, right cord over left cord, under bracelet, through loop. 6. And now I have to tie 2 more. So take my right cord over the bracelet, left cord over right cord, under bracelet, through loop. One more time, left cord over bracelet, right cord over left cord, under bracelet, through loop. 8 knots, and then I'm going to slide my button up. If you tilt it at an angle, it slides up a lot easier. And now I'm going to continue tying my knots. So right cord over bracelet, left cord over right cord, under bracelet, through loop. So keep going, tying your knots in between your buttons. Remember, 8 knots. 8 at the beginning, 8 in between all buttons, and 8 at the end. And once you get 6 inches of this all knotted up, I'll show you how to add the sliding clasp. I finished knotting my 6 inches, and now I'm ready to cut my cords off and burn the ends. So pull the knot very tight, and now cut your cords off. I leave about that much right there of the cord exposed. Maybe cut a little bit more off. I'm going to do the other side. Okay. Take the lighter and be careful not to melt this cord. I'm going to burn this down. It's not hot when you touch it, it's pretty cool. It cools off so fast. Melt that down. I'm not just going to melt the cord that I cut, I'm also going to melt this part here so it's bonded. So I'm going to do the side, do this side, do this side, do the edges over here, this side, I just melt it till all the fibers are kind of bonded together. Alright, it's pretty good. So now I'm going to show you how to do the sliding clasp. So I'm just going to lay my bracelet down like this on my bead mat. I'm going to lay my cord over top of the other cord. I'm going to take the cord that I cut at 16 inches and I'm going to go underneath both of these cords. I'm going to go overhand knot, put my ends together, and slide this down, lifting up with my left hand those 2 cords, keeping them even, and I tie a knot. Now I'm ready to tie square knots. I'm going to lay my right cord over my 2 bracelet cords, take my left cord, go over my right cord, under my 2 bracelet cords, and through my loop. Pull it tight. Take my left cord, lay it over my 2 bracelet cords, take my right cord, go over my left cord, under the 2 bracelet cords, and through my loop. Again, right cord over the 2 bracelet cords, left cord over right cord, under the 2 bracelet cords, and through my loop. Just like this. Pull it tight. Left cord over bracelet cords. Right cord over left cord, under bracelet, through my loop. And I just lost that one. Oops. And pull it up. Make sure it's tight. Take the right cord over the 2 bracelet cords. Take the left cord, go over the right cord, under the 2 bracelet cords, and up through the loop. Take my left cord, lay it over my bracelet cords. Take my right cord, go over the left cord, under the bracelet, and through this loop. Pull it tight. Sometimes you have to pull the center cords straight and then pull these tight. Like slide them up. So right cord is next, over my bracelet cords. Left cord over the right cord, under the bracelet. Sorry, my bead mat's sliding. Did I go over? I'm sorry about that. My bead mat was sliding and my camera is acting up. So pull that tight. I did left, right. So right over there, right over these 2. Left over the right and under the bracelet, and up through this one. Loop. So keep going, tying your square knots until you have a 1-inch clasp. I have 1-inch cord, and now I have to cut my ends and tie, or not tie knots, I'm going to melt the cords, that's right. Okay, so be careful not to melt your pull cords. Press it down, flip it over and do this side. And I'm gonna not melt the top and the bottom and the sides more, so the threads are more bonded. Okay, that's good. Now I'm ready to work on the pull cords. So now I'm going to take the bracelet and I'm going to pull the cords so there's no cord showing. Pull this side. So pull them until it looks like this. And then I'm going to take one of the cords and I'm going to put a bead on it. I'm going to make a loop and go through the loop twice. Then I'm going to measure on my ruler about 2 inches. So from exiting from the cord right there, I want my knot to be about 2 inches over here. So right here. Okay, that's the spot. So once it's 2 inches away from the bracelet, I'm going to cut it. Then I'm going to melt this cut cord. Press it into the knot. Now I'm going to roll the knot in my flame to bond all the fibers. It's when you hold the lighter up against it for a while is when it gets hot. So when you make quick movements like this, it's not hot. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and bonded together. Okay, so don't touch it when you have the lighter on it for a while. Now I have to do the same exact thing to get this cord that we just did to this cord. So you could slide your bead down, and that's how it looks. So I'm going to do it to this cord now, but I don't have to show you because I just showed you how to do it. This is it. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. Please like this video, leave me a comment, subscribe if you want to see more videos, and follow me on Facebook. And don't forget to share pictures of the things you've made for my tutorials, and thanks for watching.